On Tech Tree this week, we tell you whether to buy a laptop or a netbook. We travel light with small gadgets which have big uses. And we get on the cloud with cloud computing genius Andy Jassy. Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech Tree. Here on this show, we track the buzz in technology and tell you how to make the most of the gadgets around you. Now, this week, we're going to talk about something that's a point of confusion for many of us. What to pick, a laptop or a netbook? Well, in fact, we've got one such person who's in a bit of a dilemma right now.
My current laptop is 3.5, 4 years old. It's become a little slow, it's kind of heavy and it's conked off a couple of times. So I'm looking at upgrading it and I'm a little confused between a netbook and a laptop. I have a budget of around 25,000-30,000, so I'm not very sure what I should go for. Could you help me out with that?
Well, don't worry, John. It's Tech Tree to the rescue, and we're going to help John in his quest for a portable computer by getting some help in turn from our in-house geek, Alap Ghag. And Alap, so what do you really think John should buy?
Ella, before we get into whether John should be buying a laptop or a netbook, first it's important to understand the difference between the two. So let's take a look at what a laptop does and what a netbook is meant for.
Laptops are now replacements for your desktops. They are powerful and come with a lot of memory, and so they can run all software required to get some serious work done. They've got big screens, up to 15 and 17 inches, making them great for video editing, music composition and 3D modeling. And don't forget the DVD writers. These have good storage space and they serve as media hubs as well. Of course, all of this comes at a price. Decent laptops are priced between 30,000 to over a lakh of rupees. Netbooks, on the other hand, are trimmed down versions of laptops. Their processors consume very less power, so you get 3 to 4 times the battery life. Netbooks can have only up to 2 GB of memory, so you can't use them for very intensive work or for playing games. But at the same time, all your regular Windows software will work just fine on it. Netbook screens are usually between 10 to 12 inches, making them quite compact and light. But the best part is that netbooks are cheap too. They start at 15,000 rupees and go up to 25,000 for the higher end ones.
So you see, laptops and netbooks are meant for different things. So we'll have to find out what exactly John intends to do with his laptop and then figure out what he should be buying.
Absolutely right, Alap. So let's just ask the man himself. Let's find out from John what his requirements are from his computer.
I'm going to primarily use it for internet browsing, but I'm also going to use it for a bit of work, for which I use MS Office tools like PowerPoint, Excel, Word. And occasionally I would want to watch movies and listen to music, and I'm not going to use it for games because I've got a PS3 at home.
There you go, Alap. You heard the man himself. Those were his requirements. So what would you recommend for him?
Looking at John's scope of work, I think a netbook is exactly what he needs. I mean, pretty much everything he wants to do can be done on a netbook, and they're also much lower than his budget. So I think a netbook is what he should go for.
Well, okay, since John is only looking at the basic stuff like surfing, music and movies, and of course working a bit on office applications as well, we recommend that he should go for a netbook. So let's see what he has to say to that.
Absolutely, I'm going to go for a netbook then. The only thing that's remaining for me is to figure out what model I should go for. Do you have any advice on that?
Sure, John, we'll of course help you out with that. Well, take it on, Alap.
So there are 3 options for John, but the first one I'm going to talk about, obviously, it's my personal favorite. It's the Asus. It's still one of the best netbooks out there. So we'll take a look at that first.
We start our best netbook picks with the one by the guys who first started making netbooks, Asus. The 1001HA is an excellent netbook, mainly because of its lengthy battery life. It goes on for almost 8 hours and its excellent price, just around 15,000 rupees. Beyond these two, the remaining specifications don't matter. Rest assured, everything is just the way you need it. 1 GB RAM, 160 GB of hard drive space, Wi-Fi N, the works. So there's just no reason to not buy the Asus 1001HA.
Well, yes, Alap, we know you've got the Asus and you love it. It's really that flawless a machine, is it?
Well, if you want to nitpick, I think the keyboard on the Asus has a slightly flimsy feel to it. Now, I can make do with that, but it doesn't go down well with some people. For them, there's another option. There's a Samsung model out there which has a better keyboard.
For those who will be keying in a lot of data, take a look at the new Samsung N150 netbook. It's got a distinct island-style layout of keys, which makes for more comfortable typing for longer duration. Feature-wise, the Samsung also comes with new interiors, so there's a hint of improved performance. The battery life maxes out around 6 hours or so. The Samsung N150 costs around 16,500 rupees. But if you look around, you'll get some extra goodies packed in too, like a Tata Photon internet stick.
Well, from mobiles to home appliances to netbooks, it seems Samsung sure is one brand with a lot of presence, Alap.
Yeah, Samsung is prolific in the electronic space. I mean, they've got pretty much everything out there. And while we're on the topic of well-known brands, let's not forget one of the most popular computer brands out there, and that's Dell.
Dell is one brand you don't miss out when considering a computer. And their netbook, the Dell Inspiron Mini 10, is certainly something to look at. While the specifications are largely the same as standard netbooks, the Dell Mini sports a unique design and packs in a spacious 250GB hard drive. That's much more than the others. It also comes with a complete cover warranty that covers accidents as well. So go ahead and rough it out.
Well then, we've seen the best netbooks that are out there, but tell me one thing, Alap, none of these actually come with a DVD drive, so won't that be a problem for those who actually have a lot of CDs and DVDs?
Well, I think CDs and DVDs are really passé right now. Everybody uses USB drives and people keep emailing files and things like that, so people don't burn a lot of CDs anymore. But if you really need to use an old CD or DVD, you can go in for an external CD or DVD writer.
Right, but Alap, speaking of add-ons, what else will one actually need to buy to enhance the netbook experience?
Well, there are a couple of add-ons you can buy, and these are the ones that I think you should go for when you go and buy a netbook.
Sometimes you need to install some software that comes on a DVD or burn a music CD. That's why an external DVD burner comes in handy. Sure, 160GB is a decent space to start with, but as you go expanding your multimedia collection, you'll need an external drive to store it all on. While 1GB of RAM is plenty for most people, Windows runs really faster and smoother with 2GB of RAM.
Well, they're definitely useful add-ons, but I'm actually doing the math here at the same time. All this adds around 8,000 rupees to the cost of the netbook. So why wouldn't someone just go out there and buy a laptop instead?
There are a handful of reasons for that. First of all, the netbook is really compact and really light, so it's much easier to carry it around. And then these accessories we just mentioned, they're all optional add-ons. I mean, you don't have to buy them, and even if you do buy them, you don't have to take them around with you every time. You can just leave them at home and you can just take around the netbook. And then comes the question of battery life. Now, 8 hours of battery life is a superb amount of time, and no laptop out there is going to offer you that kind of battery life, and not at this price at least.
True, that does sound convincing, but I have still one final question left, Alap. We had the iPad on the show a few weeks ago, and we talked about how they're going to replace netbooks, but I know you're not on that train, but why exactly do you feel so?
Well, the iPad has now become the intermediary device between the mobile phone and the netbook. But if you want to get some work done, you have to go with the netbook because it runs Windows. All your software works on it, all the devices plug into it, and they work with it just fine. But if you want to be on the move and you just want to do basic stuff like check your email, browse the web, listen to music, and very elementary stuff like that, then you have to go with the iPad. The iPad can't do everything. You can't perform really complex tasks on it because it doesn't run any complex applications. So that's the difference between the two, and that's why I think the iPad is not going to be replacing the netbooks or the laptops, not in the foreseeable future anyways.
But Alap, hold on, are you actually saying that netbooks are better than the iPad?
No, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm just saying that both of them serve different purposes, and I think both the iPad and the netbook can coexist peacefully.
Well, yes, but you have to have the money for that. Then why pick? You can just have it all. Thanks, Alap, for helping us out with that, though. And here's a quick recap of the 3 best netbooks we have picked up for you. Well, we'll take a small break here, but don't you go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to get you the coolest traveling gadgets. Stay with us.